Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling. No thanks, said Ron weakly. Better not risk it. Come and see what I've been growing, said Hagrid as Harry and Hermione finished the last of the tea. In the small vegetable patch behind Hagrid's house, there was a dozen of largest pumpkins Harry had ever seen. Each was the size of a large boulder. Getting on well, aren't they? Said Harry happily. For the Halloween feast, should have been enough by then. What have you been feeding them? Said Harry. Harry looked over his shoulder to check whether they were alone. Well, I've been giving them, a bit of help. Have you noticed Harry's flowery pink umbrella leaning against the back wall of the cabin? Harry had reason to believe before now that his umbrella was no larger than it looked. In fact, he had a strong impression that Hagrid's old school was concealed inside it. Hagrid wasn't supposed to use magic. He had been expelled from Hogwarts in his third year, but Harry had never found out why. At a mention of the matter, and Hagrid would clear his throat loudly and become mysteriously deaf until the subject has changed. And a government chomp, I suppose, said Hermione, halfway between disapproval and amusement. Well, you done a good job on them. That's what your little sister said Hagrid, nodded and Ron. Met her just yesterday. Harry looked sideways at Harry, his beard twitching. Said she was just looking for the grounds. I bet I would gone her shopping she went into someone else in my house. She winked at Harry. If you ask me, she wouldn't say no to a sign. Shut up, said Harry. Ron snorted with laughter and the ground was sprayed with slugs. Watch it, Hagrid wrote, pulling a warren away from his precious pumpkins. It was nearly lunchtime, and as Harry had only had one bit of treacle toffee since dawn, he was keen to go back to school to eat. They said goodbye to Hagrid and walked back up to the castle, one hiccuping occasionally, but only bringing up 2 very small slugs. They had barely set foot in the cruel entrance hall when a voice rang out. There you are, Potter Weasley. Professor McGonagall was walking towards them, looking at Stan. You will both do your detentions this evening. What are we doing, Professor? Said Ron, nervously suppensing a burp. You will be polishing the silver in the trophy room with Mr. Filch, said Professor McGonagall. And no magic, Weasley. About Grease. Ron gulped. Argus Filch, the caretaker, was loathed by every student at the school. And you, Potter, will be helping Professor Lockhart answer his fan mail, said Professor McGonagall. Oh no, can I go to the trophy room too? Said Harry desperately. Certainly not, said Professor McGonagall, raising her eyebrows. Professor Lockhart requested you passionately. 8 o'clock sharp, both of you. Harry and Ron slumped into the great hall in states of deepest gloom. Hermione behind them. Well, you did break school rules sort of expression. Harry didn't fancy his shepherd's pie as much as he thought. Both he and Ron felt they've got the world's deal. Whit Filch will have me at all night, said Ron heavily. No magic. There must be about 100 carpets in that room. No good at muggle cleaning. I'd swap any time, said Harry hollowly. I've had lots of practice with the Dursleys, answering Lockhart's fan mail. He'll be a nightmare. Saturday afternoon seemed to melt away, and in what seemed like no time, it was 5 minutes to 8, and Harry was dragging his feet along the second-floor corridor to Lockhart's office. He gritted his teeth and knocked. The door flew open at once. Lockhart beamed down at him. Ah, here's the scallywag, he said. Come in, Harry, come in. Shining brightly on the walls by the light of many candles were countless framed photographs of Lockhart. He had even signed a few of them, and a large pile lay on his desk. You can address the envelopes, Lockhart told Harry as though this was a huge treat. The first one's to Gladys Guddion, bless her, huge fan of mine. The minutes snailed by. Harry let Lockhart's voice wash over him, occasionally saying, and right, and yeah. Now and then he caught a phrase like fame satirical friend, Harry, or celebrity does, remember that. The candles burned lower and lower, making the light dance over the many moving faces of Lockhart's watching him. Harry moved his aching hand over what felt like the 1,000th envelope, writing out Veronica's milk-faced address. It must be nearly time to leave, Harry thought miserably. Please let it be nearly time. And then he heard something. Something quite apart from the spider and the dying candles and Lockhart's prattle about his fans. It was a voice. A voice to chill the bone and marrow. A voice of breathtaking ice-cold venom. Come to me. Let me rip you. Let me tea you. Let me kill you. Harry gave a huge jump and a large lilac bird appeared on Veronica Smedley's street. What? He said loudly. I know. 6 solid months at the top of this old bestseller list broke all records, said Lockhart. No, said Harry affectionately. That voice. Sorry, said Lockhart, looking puzzled. What voice? The voice they say. Didn't you hear it? Lockhart was looking at Harry in high astonishment. What are you talking about, Harry? Perhaps you're getting a little drowsy? Great Scott, look at the time. We've been here nearly 4 hours. I'd never have believed it. This time's flown, hadn't? Harry didn't answer. He was straining his ears to hear the voice again. But there was no sound now, except for Lockhart telling him he mustn't expect a treat like this every time he got detention. Feeling dazed, Harry left. It was so late that the Gryffindor common room was almost empty. Harry went straight up to the dormitory. But Ron wasn't back yet. Harry pulled out his pajamas, got into bed, and waited. Half an hour later, Ron arrived, nursing his right arm and writing wrong as the smell of polish into the darkened room. My muscles have all seized up, he groaned, sinking on his bed. 14 times he made me buff up the Quidditch Cup before he was satisfied, and then I had another slug attack over a special award for services to the school, 2 cages to shift the slime. How was it with Lockhart? Keeping his voice low to not to wake Neville, Dean, and Seamus, Harry told Ron exactly what he had heard. And Lockhart said he couldn't hear it, said Ron. Harry considered frowning in the moonlight. Do you think he was lying? But he didn't get it. So even someone invisible would have opened the door. I know, said Harry, leaning back into the 4-poster and staring at the canopy above him. I don't get it either.